Hey patrons, how you doing? Welcome to the On Your Own 11 challenge, where we're going to make 4 patches using the LFO. I've got Massive here. Let's initialize it. And we're not just going to make any 4 patches. We're going to be making patches which feature the 4 most common parameters that are created, or sorry, not parameters, but sounds that are created using an LFO. And those are vibrato, which is the pitch variation, tremolo, which is on guitar amps, for instance, and that is a volume modulation. Also in Leslie speakers, you have a combination of, I think, vibrato and tremolo. Auto filter, which is, like a wobble bass or whatever, and gate. And that's going to be affecting either your volume or your filter. So I think, what do you want to hear it on? You want to hear it on a chord? Let's hear it on a chord. So let me just make a generic chord here, E flat major, or we'll do C minor. I think that's fine. So I don't know how to step record. I forgot how to step record. It doesn't matter. So, and we're gonna just need to hold it out to feature these sounds. So let's give this a play. And let's do our first one, which is vibrato. Okay, so I said in the public video that I didn't know how to make the LFOs work in Massive, and of course I do. I just completely airbrained it. So in order to accomplish this vibrato, it would probably be best to assign it to the amp section here, because if you do it to an individual oscillator, if you have 2 oscillators, then you just have to duplicate it, so you could probably just get a lot more mileage right here, since it needs to have an amp envelope anyway. So let's try it that way. Here, let's in here what happens. And it's doing its job. Okay. We can turn the rate up. We can add sync. So we have right now, this is once every measure we'll go through the positive and negative phases here. And here we can do, for example, quarter notes. Okay, and we can even do something like 3 quarter notes. Kind of sounds weird. Oh, because it restarts, maybe? Yeah, it does restart, because we have you can hear how that has kind of a syncopated effect. If we wanted to, we could always bring this over to the arrangement view and stretch it out so we don't get that pop in the beginning. But actually, why don't we do that? We just come here and just stretch this out. Actually, I think it's just going to loop, isn't it? Where's my back to arrangement option? Is it? Oh, here. Yeah, that's not going to work. So maybe if we change the length or something. There we go. So let me just stretch these. It's still going to loop, but not as often. So we can hear more of those values. Okay. Okay. And we can also change the LFO shape. So that's a sign Here we have more like a sawtooth. But you don't want this more than likely for your tremolo, but let's try it out. And we definitely want to go much faster than that. So let's go like 1/16. That's not really a tremolo effect. Here's our triangle, just like we had in primer. That's really more like we're used to. Okay, so that's pretty much how you're gonna do tremolo inside of Massive. No need to really save it. It's not that special. And then we can just reinitialize. And now what we want to do is vibrato. Sorry, I think I said we were going to do vibrato, and we didn't. We did tremolo. So let's do vibrato, and how we're going to do that is we're going to modulate pitch, which is here. And I'm pretty sure you're going to have to do each one of these individually. So let's go ahead and just drag over the LFO to here, and then this is convenient because it'll show within what range your modulator will work. Unlike in primer, in what comes with Sensorial, you just kind of guess. You just use your ear. But here we got I guess 3 half steps, which is a minor third. So let's try that out. Let's mute that or off for a second. Well, it's going to go up and down, so let's bring that back in here. In fact, why don't we set it? I wonder if I can just double click and make it 3. Okay, 3, and then let's do it with a pulse wave and hear how that sounds. Exactly. So cool. Let's play with our chord. It's pretty neat. Sounds like who's that band that did Planet of Ice? Like Minus the Bear or something. But we want to do vibrato, okay? And we're not going to do vibrato with a square wave more than likely. Although I guess you could. Let's try a sine. It actually sounds remarkably similar at those low values. But you are getting kind of like that clickiness. You don't want that. What's the difference between the triangle and the sine here? This one sounds more yo-yo-ish. It's more like an oval, I think, as opposed to. Cool. So there's your vibrato, but obviously you're not going to have it that much, so you can adjust your amplitude here. So this value becomes whatever this is here. So if we increase this to like a lot, now we have something totally different. But it's going up and down, remember that. I don't think there's a way to clip out your pitch amount like you would here with a filter cutoff, and we'll go into that actually right now with auto filter. So let's reinitialize the patch, and let's drag an LFO here to the cutoff, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I think we already did talk about this in primer, but I'll show you specifically how Massive's GUI shows it. So slow is never good. Well, we could have slow, like this is what we're starting to. I feel like we're getting into Dead Mouse land here. Yeah, all we need is a kick drum and a mouse head. Cool. So that's your auto filter. You can do, and you know, Massive has all these wave shapes, man. That's not really even a wave shape, but it does have some. It's pretty neat. It's pretty cool too. So yeah, look how I was showing you here. Here, see this little extra right there. That's to indicate it's like a clip light for your modulator. So pretty much like here, it's all the green is clipped out, so it's only going to go down. And we can increase that. Let's go back to something more normal. It'll never get brighter than it is, but it'll only get darker. So it's just clipping out this positive. So it's only like bright, darker, bright, darker. Let's slow it down so I can follow along. See, during the positive, it just never gets any brighter. But if, let's bring it down a little. It's still clipped, but let's hear how that sounds. But now let me reduce the amplitude, and we shouldn't even get to this clip value. I want to reverse it because it's kind of hard to hear when things go higher than they're supposed to. So I'm not sure why we're not getting a clip light here with the gray. We can invert it. Here you can hear it's not clipping anymore down in the bottom. So that's how that works. And that's your auto filter. Last thing is going to be gates. So let's initialize the patch. And pretty much we were doing gates with the filter. Let's say you want to, I mean, just for S's and G's, why don't we just come over here to LFO 6 and that's what we want to do. We want to have it so the sound cuts off, and we can use the filter or the volume for that. So let's do a triangle, sawtooth. Remember, the key here is that it actually cuts off, so make sure that you have your modulation happening all the way to 0. It doesn't really have to be, but I mean, just for the sake of learning. You can reverse it. Pretty cool. And what else? Yeah, so that's with cutoff. Again, you could do it here with this wave form, the pulse. They're symmetrical, so it doesn't really matter which way you go, but when you flip it, it's going to change the rhythm. You can do that, it's kind of fun. And we can also do that with volume, okay? So I'm just going to reinitialize, well, don't really have to. Let me just turn this off. And now we're going to assign this over here to the amp section. And now we don't have a modulation amount control here. Like, I can't just click and drag this. It doesn't make any sense because there's no amp knob. But what we can do is just use this. So that's kind of nice effect, but it's not a gate. Gate is like open or closed. But I mean, if you want to have like a semi-open gate, you can have like that, and that's kind of nice also. Increase the amp release. You can have that trail off. almost like a delay, right? Very, very similar. So those are the 4 most common assignments you have using an LFO. We didn't do pitch. You definitely could. You can get laser sounds, and you can definitely do a lot. You can also assign envelopes to pitch here in Massive, as you know, freely assign them. You can use an LFO on anything. You can use an LFO to modulate how much reverb comes in. Like, just why not? Because you can. Here, we'll just like make it very dense. That's so weird. Here, let me just reinitialize it real quick, just to make it obvious. And we'll use a pulse wave. Gotta turn my reverb back on. But does it really cut it off? I'm not convinced. Let's make it a little slower. Let's do like, well, shoot. Let's do like 3/4 notes just here. Turn the metronome off. Yeah, it totally just shuts it off. That's wicked. So yeah, anything. I mean, you can even assign it to EQ, whatever you want. Effects here in Massive. Massive is obviously a very flexible instrument. So with that, thank you for being a patron. It's already Sunday, so this video might even go up late, but that's okay, because I'm still making videos, helping you guys out. That's what matters. So I'll see you next week. Peace.